Hey guys, Figgy again. Welcome back to my bookish universe. Today I'm going to be doing a January wrap up. So I am going to divide it into two parts because I've got some quotes and some feelings on some of the novels. So I'm going to get all the other stuff out of the way first. My dog is being extra cuddly today, so she's hanging around my feet. So if you hear a little click click click, that's what it is. First up, Gary by Leila Rudge, which is a story of a homing pigeon. Well, he's a pigeon living in a family of homing pigeons, but he can't fly. So he watches as all the others go out and do their things and wishes that he could fly. And he makes a little scrapbook of all the things that he wants to see and do in the world. And then one day he does end up getting caught in the box with the other pigeons and he can't fly, so he has to use his little journal and all of his information that he's gathered to find his own way home. So it's a really cute story about making your own path, discovering your own way of doing things, not following the herd. But it's also got a really good message for anyone who has a disability or who isn't what is considered the norm, because they can't necessarily do things in the exact same way that everyone else can, but can forge their own path. It's a really cute little book. On the website we give books out of 10, so I apologise if I slip into that. It's a 3.5 out of 5 for that one from me. It's super stinking hot here today, so I apologise if my glasses fog up. Alright, so next up is the new Dan Santat, After the Fall. Now I have read The Adventures of Beekle, the Unimaginary Friend, in the past, and I absolutely love it, so that's why I was so eager to get a hold of this one. So basically Humpty Dumpty has a fall off the wall. You know the rhyme, but this is what happens afterwards. So after he has the fall and after he's patched up at the hospital, at the King's County Hospital, he's afraid of everything that's up high, so he doesn't sleep in his loft bed anymore. He can't get his favourite flavourful cereals and he's stuck with all these grey and dark ones down here, twigs and berries and leaves and fibre flakes and bland. And he's wary of the wall, so he still sees the birds up there, but he doesn't get to enjoy them as much as he used to. So one day he gets the idea of building a paper plane, which is something that he can do from the ground, but he can still watch it fly, and it takes a lot of effort. And then he throws it and it flies amazingly, but it gets stuck on top of the wall. So it's about climbing back up once you've had a fall. It can be a metaphor for depression and anxiety and any kind of injury. If you fall off the horse, you get back up. So it's a really sweet little story about what we can do when we persevere and set our minds to things. I actually haven't reviewed this one as yet because it came out in the hardcover and they sent me the paperback just after it came out in the hardcover, so I was going to post my review once the paperback actually comes out, but I'm thinking it's at least an 8 out of 10, sorry, a 4 out of 5. It's a really sweet little story. I will give you a quick look at Beekle as well if you haven't seen it before. So basically he's an imaginary friend and he's born on the island where imaginary friends are born, and he watches as one after another all the other imaginary friends are chosen until he's all alone. And so he stays there on the island by himself, dreaming of this human who would imagine him up, and it never happens. So he makes his own journey, which is really, really sweet. So it's about not waiting for opportunities to come and find you and going out and finding them yourselves. I actually really like the way the city is depicted. The real world was a strange place. No kids were eating cake, no one stopped to hear the music, and everyone needed nap time. I just think it's really gorgeous, and it's all in grey, and it's not exciting when it's the boring city, so it's really, it's just such a sweet little story. And it's also about friendship. Okay. Things I have drawn at the zoo is Dom, Al and Tom Curtis. So Dom and Al are the kids, I believe, and Tom is the dad. So basically what happens is the kids draw pictures and dad turns them into photorealistic images. This is a Tumblr as well, so you may have seen it before, or various elements of it. But yeah, so this is an example of the drawing and then the final version. And I really like the ones where it's got them in a herd or in a grouping of others of the same animal. So, you know, you have to spot the odd one out. Can you see it? This guy up here. And yeah, so it just sort of, it shows what is the original photo, the original inspiration, and then how the kids have drawn it. So it's really, really cute. It's also a little bit freaky at times, but it's good fun. I gave that one 4 out of 5 because it's cute and funny, and it's, you know, within that sort of humour category, it's quite cute. And it's also got a rhyming verse alongside the pictures. Now, Danger Dolan Countdown is actually a YouTube channel, an Aussie YouTube channel, and they do, you know, the 15 strangest animals and the 15 places that are most haunted and things like that. So, I mean, this is a really bright and quick read. So it's got black and white backgrounds and orange writing, but it's also got very little text per page. So it's a really good one for maybe reluctant teenagers who don't like reading but like facts, so it's not too overbearing. It's also kind of fun as a grown-up to go through. There's something new for everyone to find out about. You're not going to know every little fact that's in this book. The reason why I say teens is because some of these topics are a little bit older. So they do have things like creepiest places in the world and places you are most likely to die, which that one is mostly war zones. So that's probably going to bring up some conversations with younger kids. Hashtag single. This one actually turned up with Space is Cool as Fuck. So I had requested the space book, but I got this one and a couple of others which will come up eventually as well, I'm sure, because they're quite quick reads. It's inspired by Tinder Tuesday, and it's got a, you know, a conversation to a page and then usually a blank page in between, or like an illustrated full color page. So I think this is about 180 pages, but honestly there's maybe 80 to 100 pages with actual text on them. Some of them it's like 1 or 2 messages, others do go on for a couple of pages. So that one goes over the page. And yeah, it's just, it's all about dating and online dating and all the fun messages that people get. I did give that one 3.5 out of 5 because, again, in the humour category, it's kind of, it's funny and it's a light read. Last one, Body Music by Julie Moreau. So this is a collection of graphic vignettes. So it's short little stories of illustrated format. So it's a graphic novel, but really short snippets. Some of these are a couple of pages, others are, you know, 10 or 20 pages. So I like the illustration style. It's bold but not overly jarring. It's kind of got some softness to it as well. I don't know what that style is called because I am not an art person. But yeah, it's stories about people in different relationships, different orientations as well. So it's got straight, bi, trans, it's got polyamorous relationships, it's got relationships that haven't happened yet, and people arguing about what certain things mean in relationships, and thinking internal monologues about it. So there's one in which it's 2 guys who are each within their own worlds, and they've obviously met at a club or somewhere the night before, realised that they weren't what's within the norms of who they should be dating. So the guy who is a businessman who thinks that the other guy's a bit too overweight and scruffy and just not his kind, he's not the sort of person you should be with, but he had a really good time with him. So they both overthink a lot and then end up deleting each other's numbers, so it's got those sort of sad moments as well, but it does have some happiness. It's got a lot of things that no matter what kind of relationship you've been in, you've probably had some thought along those lines. So I gave it 3 out of 5. It was interesting but didn't blow me away, but I really liked, actually the thing that made it the most worthwhile for me was actually the intro from the author illustrator. She's both, I believe. So yeah, so I mean it's a whole page, but this is the part that I really liked. Bow-legged, chubby, ethnic, androgynous, trans, pierced, scarred, ill, disabled, old, hairy, outside all the usual aesthetic criteria, queers, dykes, trans, freaks, the non-monogamous, flighty and spiny hearts, we all write our own poems and our hearts beat harder for our romances. We are not a minority, we are the alternatives. There are as many love stories as there are imaginations. This book is a sample of the palette. My toolbox may fall short when it comes to transcribing the taste of tears or the terribly loud silence of a breaking heart or the feel of skin rising in ecstatic waves, but I want this book to be an homage to all the loving beings who go against what is expected of them, sometimes risking their lives in the process. So yeah, it's got a really good message behind it, but there was just some, maybe it was that the stories were too short. Some of them we did get to go back to, so some were revisited, but for the most part a lot of them were left sort of a little bit open-ended and theoretically wrapped up at the end, but not solidly, not in a way where we go, okay, this is how this all ended up. But maybe that's intentional, maybe that's the style, because in this world we come across all sorts of people in all sorts of relationships and we don't get to know how it all ends up. So maybe that was intentional, but yeah, there was just a disconnect for me because of that. Alrighty, thanks guys, that's it for the first part of my January wrap up. Don't forget to like and subscribe below. I will give information for all the books in the description, and I will also link you to the second part of my wrap up once it's up. Alrighty, thanks guys, have a great one. I'll see you next time.